am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. So I declare that this thing is open, that as we sit here and we are paying respect to the mighty forces of nature and respecting it and moving into a different mode of expression, I know that for each one that chooses to join this meeting, that they are able to fully inculcate these teachings, these concepts into their daily life and to move forward, bringing a greater sense of peace and joy and happiness into their experience. So I declare this thing open and I say, let's go. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
My heart is ready to receive. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton. We are, as we have always been and always will be, a loving, healing, and inclusive community, which teaches and practices the principles of the science of mind for the well-being and spiritual growth of ourselves and the world. And whether we're physically at the Masonic Lodge or we're here digitally on Zoom, we are that. And so we welcome you, and we're so grateful to be able to have this meeting every Sunday morning, no matter what the crazy weather is. So some announcements. Today we are really fortunate to have Reverend Karen with us. And I'm really looking forward to her talk today. Next week, we have Reverend Michelle, and we always have wonderful talks from Reverend Michelle. We always walk away feeling very inspired. And after that, we have our own Susan Meat speaking. And the week after that, I'm the speaker. So we have March coming up and wonderful, interesting, inspiring talks coming up. And we welcome everyone to join us. Come down to the Masonic Lodge at 345 River Road in Princeton if you like, unless, of course, there's a blizzard coming. Then stay home. Um, uh, I'm very grateful. Thank you, Regina. Thank you, Susan, uh, for what we've created, that we practiced this enough that, yesterday we decided, gee, the weather's going to not be good. We could just set this up and be ready to go. And we look forward to increasing this, that more people will join us, and also sharing it on our Facebook page. A couple of other announcements. Coming up at the end of April, we have a wonderful class starting. Reverend Christina Tillotson will be teaching a class. It's on this thing called You. I forget the exact name of the class. Something about the universe. It's always about the universe. And we really encourage everyone It's a real opportunity for us to have a class taught by Reverend Christina. Um, Also, Reverend Karen is doing her yearly Tessera practice. If you are not a part of the Tessera practice, it is something of real value. 40 days, every day except Sunday, there's a short lesson um, with a lot of wisdom. And Reverend Karen, you can talk about it when you're on giving your talk if you like. So there's that. And one other announcement I want to make, many of you know that Kathy Verkandi, who was a really valued member of our community, made her transition the other day. And we heard from Mary Verkandi. If anybody would like to donate in her name, that Kathy would be very happy to know that you had donated to your local animal shelter in her name. Um, and we miss Kathy. We miss Mary, who moved out west. Mary, if you get a chance to watch this, we're thinking of you. And so let's move on. Oh, the name of the class is Infinite You as the Universe. It's based on the book, This Thing Called You. So let's move on. Reverend Rich, you're on mute.
Sorry.
Great guitar. It's a great guitar, but you can't hear it when it's playing.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. Trust my instincts, let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and true and free. As I continue walking in this mystery, I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. For now I know that what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am grateful every moment, every day. And I am kinder every moment, every day.
Thank you, Reverend Rich. And one announcement that I forgot to make, I want to congratulate our dear practitioner, Damaris, for the wonderful interview on the class that she's been giving on Bad Bunny and his relationship with the culture of Puerto Rico. So congratulations. So when I saw Reverend Karen's subject for the day and I started looking for an appropriate spiritual practice or reading for us, um, I picked up this thing called life. One of the things that I probably most of us have realized who've been doing this practice for a long time is You go back to some of the beginning books that you read, and they're quite different than when you read them 10 years ago or whenever you read them, because we're different, right? We do our daily practice and our consciousness changes. And so the same thing that you read that seemed really simple um, has a much deeper meaning. And I had that experience when I was looking for something appropriate um, for today. And so here's a little reading and a spiritual practice from this thing called life. The law of life is like a mirror. It reflects back to you the images of your thoughts in exactly the way you think them. You cannot say that it is little or that it gives you but a small portion of itself when your own thought patterns are limiting this gift. Life has already delivered everything it has to you. But in your personal experience, even that which it has given must, of a necessity, be limited to that which you can take. It is then of greatest value to learn how to receive more abundantly. Just as one studying the piano patiently goes over his lesson until finally his or her action becomes automatic, so in using the life principle, you must be patient with yourself. You must learn to strike the right chord. The right chord is always one of harmony. Learn to receive more by daily practicing the presence of abundance. Learn to use the law of life in a more expansive manner by daily practicing belief in it. At first, this may sound strange because probably you will say, I already believe in it. Remember, your belief in it is perhaps somewhat limited by your experience. And so you are practicing a greater expectation. You are believing in more and accepting more. You are opening every channel of your mind to a larger influx. Here's a simple practice which may greatly benefit you. And so take a nice deep breath, find your comfort in whatever chair you're sitting in. And here's a simple meditation. The one supreme power, life, intelligence, and spirit is within, around, and through me. My word is the activity of this infinite mind and is the law of good in my experience. It is perfect in its action and permanent in its manifestation. Infinite intelligence governs, sustains, and animates me. Good alone goes from me, and good alone returns to me. That's a wonderful affirmation. Good alone goes from me, and good alone returns to me. You can repeat that in your space. Good alone goes from me, and good alone returns to me. I am happy, radiant, and complete. The source of all life manifests as peace, harmony, and wholeness in my experience. I affirm that this word, being the presence of the Spirit in me, is the law of God operating through me and establishing in me that which is good, beautiful, and true. It is done. I accept. I believe. I know. Now I'll do a treatment. Knowing that the divine is fully present right here, right now, always, everywhere. And therefore, I know that the divine is present as each one participating today in this meeting of CSL Princeton, this divine family of consciousness. And so I know that all of that is true of the one infinite consciousness of the universe is true of each one participating here today. Peace is present. Each one is knowing the presence of this one peace in their heart, in their mind, in their full consciousness. And I know that this peace now is being expressed by each one in every aspect of their lives. And I declare with clarity that each one is now the presence of peace in their lives, in every aspect of their lives. As each one goes about their business, each one finds that every relationship is now a relationship of peace. That every job, every task is now for everyone the presence of peace. And even these words right here, right now, are the words of peace. And I am so grateful to know this truth. And this being so, I release it to that which always says yes. Yes, it is so. And so it is.
So it is. I got peace like a river. Got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. And it flows like a river. Yes, and it flows like a river. It flows like a river in my soul. I got joy like a fountain. Yes, I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. And it flows like a fountain. Yes, it flows just like a fountain. It flows like a fountain in my soul. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. Yes, I do. It flows like an ocean. Yes, it flows like an ocean. It flows like an ocean in my soul. I got peace like a snowstorm. I got peace like a snowstorm. I got peace like a snowstorm in my soul. And it grows like a snowdrift. Yes, it Rose like a snowdrift, rose like a snowdrift in my soul. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. Yes, I do. And it flows like a river. Yes, and it flows like a river. And it flows like a river in my soul. Flows like a river in my soul. All right. It's snowing here, but I can see Reverend Karen is snug and warm in her little box there. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce the great Reverend Dr. Karen Kushner to bring her words of wisdom. So it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Reverend Rich. It's not snowing where I am yet, but I believe it's coming. And I actually put on Facebook, if you want it to snow on Sunday, just invite me to speak. Because this is actually the fourth Sunday I have been invited to speak when we couldn't meet in person or it got canceled. So not just here, but at other centers. So there you go. Our topic today is every moment is sacred, every moment is important, and I am using the work of Dr. Robert Bitzer to for inspiration. And I believe everyone who is physically present right now in our meeting already knows about the Tessera season. We've finished our first partial week, and we are using the works of Dr. Robert Bitzer to inspire us. And the reason why is because he is such a consciousness of truth. And every talk he gives and everything that he wrote all just seems to be saying the same thing over and over and over, but it is riveting because it's like you never heard it before. One of his favorite words to meditate upon was power. And in one of his classes, he shares how to meditate. And he would say, think in your mind over and over, I am power. I am power. And just let that flow through your thinking as you contemplate that. And he said, after a while, maybe after weeks, months, or maybe even in that one moment of contemplating, I am power, he said, he drops the am and says, I power. I power. And then eventually it morphs into just power. Now, he was a very powerful practitioner because he believed so completely in the spiritual truth that he spoke about, and he lived it. And in one of his essays, it's entitled, every moment is important. And he writes, you cannot divide your time into periods of varying importance. Every moment is essential to your well-being. Now, if you're like me, I do unconsciously tend to think, while I'm brushing my teeth, it's not that important. I just don't recognize its importance. So it's not that I'm saying this moment is unimportant. It's like it's just a throwaway. It's just some thinking I'm doing while I'm doing some things, washing the dishes, driving a car. So unconsciously, I'm not recognizing its importance. And yet, it is important. it's essential to my well-being. He goes on to say, what you think in this moment determines whether you will create unpleasantness or success. He has a talk that he gave that is entitled, Coming Events Cast Their Shadows Before Them. And what that is a recognition of what he's writing in this essay. We receive thoughts unbidden. And if we consider that these so-called or seemingly random thoughts that cross our mind, if we look at them as a suggestion as to what we want to experience in the next moment, then we're going to take those random thoughts that come into our mind seriously and question them. Do I want that experience? I have a friend I was coaching her for several years in this teaching. That was way before I became a minister, but she and I were working together. And she one time came to me and said, I'm going to do a spiritual mind treatment for excitement. I want some excitement in my life. Now, she was choosing to make that moment powerful. And she did her treatment for excitement, even though I suggested maybe you don't want to use that word excitement because the human race definition of excitement is very broad. And she's like, no, I want excitement. I'm like, okay. So the next morning, she arrived at work late because in her subway ride, it got stopped because apparently someone had jumped onto the roof of the subway train and was running around while it was moving. And then there was a whole lot of excitement because they had to get the person off and they had to get I guess, the police in and all sorts of stuff. And the train was delayed. And she came in when she finally did and said to me, okay, I get your point about excitement. I get it. So we thought about it and we came up with the affirmation. My life is filled with wonderful surprises. My life is filled with wonderful surprises. We had to obviously include that word wonderful. Another time, I'm going to use her as another example. She was driving her car to another job that she had out on Long Island. And she told me later that she had the thought as she was driving the car along the Long Island Expressway, she had the thought, it just crossed her mind, oh, I'm going to be early to work today, unless I have an accident. Someone slammed right into the back of her car. Now, here's the thing about that moment. There was a moment between that thought that just crossed her mind and the event. And that's an important moment because we have the ability in that moment to say no or yes. But if we think these passing thoughts are not important, are not powerful, we err because they are. And so when we take the negative suggestions from the world, and we are definitely bombarded by the world's negative suggestions, if we take them seriously because they entered our own mind. Now, there's no reason to take what the world is saying if it hasn't entered into your own consciousness, into your own thought. But if it does enter into your own thought, we have a moment to choose whether to allow it in and therefore be part of what gets created for us, or to say, no, not for me. I love that little saying that was going around for a while, not my circus, not my monkeys. It was a great way of saying no to certain suggestions that arise to us. It's so important to remember that your conscious thought is where you have your conscious choice. and that you do have all the power and all the authority in the universe to accept what is presented to you by the world. And that what is best for you to choose does not have to come from what other people might say you should be doing. There is some posts going around in Facebook right now about the way spiritual people should be behaving and should be saying and should be posting and should. And I'm like, what happened to our teaching? Remember, our tenets are freedom of choice. And we believe it, for those of us in this particular spiritual community, we believe this so strongly that we do not even assume to pray for someone's particular good without their permission. We can always pray for someone's generalized good, but as Dr. Robert Bitzer has taught, what we might be wanting for someone else, well, okay, he has a little story. He became a religious science minister, and his brother, who was worried about him because this weird woo-woo new thought stuff, his brother started praying that he become a fantastic, I think, Methodist minister. And when Dr. Robert Bitzer heard about it, he said, that's okay, because what he's praying for me is going to come through me with my mental equivalent of ministry. And so as he's praying that I become a successful, wonderful Methodist minister, I will become an even more successful and wonderful religious science minister. Again, that's the thought, the choice that he took when presented with that. But going back to my point, freedom of choice is essential. It is our divine birthright, our divine birthright. And what should we choose? We want to take very seriously that each one of us is divinely created, a unique individualization of the divine, and that what is best for me, what is best for you, is what you are guided in your own heart. And that very rarely comes from outside people who might be filled with hurt or pain or upsetness or anger, or people who just want you to do what they themselves might feel incapable of doing. So consider these suggestions from the world very, very carefully. There may be wisdom in some things. Certainly, I definitely do expose myself to all points of view concerning different world events right now, to get clearer and clearer about what do I think. So when I read something that I disagree with, I choose to take that very seriously and ask myself, is there something here for me to understand? Is there something here for me to know? Sometimes I very clearly get, stop it, unfriend them, unsubscribe, don't look at it. It's not for your greater good. It's not allowing you to express more of your own uniqueness that you are. And sometimes I do receive, consider, think about it. And a lot of times, maybe in a very, very few instances, but they have happened, I've actually changed my mind about a particular something, whatever. But at the most of the time, what happens is I'm caused to think more clearly about what is best for me and what my opinion is with regard to certain things in this world. We absolutely acknowledge the freedom of choice. And we also say that we can treat for anything that is life affirming. And so we cannot treat for something that would take away the freedom of choice of anyone, or that would be destructive. And that mostly is something that we need to realize about how we treat ourselves. So in some sort of unconscious way that we might not realize, but very powerful way, when we take someone else's guidance as our own guidance, we are in a very unconscious way not affirming our own individual guidance, our own uniqueness. So for me, I have to be careful because I am affected by what other people say. I want everyone to like me, and I mean, who wouldn't? I want whatever I say, people to go, yes, exactly. You're the one who spoke the truth. Let's follow that great one. And I acknowledge that sometimes people are receiving wisdom by looking at what I say I do and saying to themselves, not for me. And so I might be the example of what not to do or what not to say. I get it. That's okay. But what I do want to keep accepting for myself and growing in trust of myself is my guidance is my God and it is my good. And every moment, what I am choosing to think is important. It's important because it is what is used to create my next moment or my succeeding moments, whether they are pleasant or painful. He goes on to say, that which is in your consciousness at the present moment, so that's right now, not afterwards, after the talk is over and you're thinking, no, right now, whatever's in your consciousness determines what will appear. And we are blessed in that we have the ability to change our mind. He says it is our greatest asset. Decades ago, before I had any acceptance of the presence of God or good, I remember I was walking along the street back to my car from work, and I had this passing little thought. I'm going to get attacked. And I didn't deny it because I was just duping along. Oh, that's an interesting thought. It was a beautiful day. The sun was out. Lots of people were around me. And then I took a turn toward my car parking lot. And for a nanosecond, I was alone. And yeah, I did get, mildly attacked. And a part of me thought, oh, that's interesting. I had that thought. Now, at that time, I didn't know what to do about having that thought. And so, yeah, what happened happened. But boy, what a lesson that I've received so much value from ever since, which is I had that passing thought. Probably what was happening was I had picked up the thinking of someone near me. And, again, I didn't realize that you could do that or that that might be happening, but now I do. And I invite each one of you to become aware of your thinking. And next time that a passing negative thought crosses your mind, you now know you've got a moment to accept it through ignoring it or declaring something positive. Some people in our early movement would say, cancel, cancel, cancel. Okay, if that works for you, great. But I say, no, not for me. This is what I choose. And I have my favorite affirmation. I am perfect, whole, and complete. For some reason, that affirmation has become to mean to me, divine love is with me. I am guided, guarded, and protected. And I trust that my saying of that word, I am perfect, whole, and complete, will negate the suggestion that is presented to me. I've built that into my belief so that I can use that particular affirmation. And so, what I invite each one of you to do is to create an affirmation that you can use in those nano moments when after presented with some sort of suggestion that you don't want for you. Dr. Robert Bitzer said that when he was young, and that was in the very early 1900s, they used to put in the obituary in the newspapers of someone an extensive description of how they died and what they died and all the details surrounding it. And he said that he used to read those obituary and those descriptions of what they went through. And he would say, "Oh, Lordy, Lordy, not for me. Keep that away from me, not for me." And he said, when I heard him speak, that he's not going to get anything. He's not going to die of anything because he negated it all as this child saying, "Oh, Lordy, Lordy, not for me." But so it worked for him that, "Oh, Lordy, Lordy, not for me," at the level of his understanding, but it still worked. And so, yeah, as we read the news and they say, "Oh, there's this new disease or new flu or new bug flying around." I mean, I like to think of Dr. Bitzer who would say, "Oh, Lordy, Lordy, not for me." And then what I like to say with some world events that come floating past me, I choose not to participate in that one. I remember years ago, I had a Manhattan apartment that was rent stabilized. And there was great talk that they were going to pass this law that was going to eliminate rent stabilization, and all our rents would immediately get adjusted to what the market rate was. And I know all my friends around me and people around me, we all had apartments, and we all were like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, oh, no, oh, no, oh, no." And I remember I was in this teaching. I remember saying, "I choose not to participate in that one." And I refused to think about it, to worry about it. I was not participating. And then it never happened. It died down, it went away. I don't know what happened to it, but it didn't happen. I choose not to participate in that one. You have that right of choice, and don't let anyone attempt to manipulate you and your power of choice, your decision about what is best for you. You don't have to jump onto every bandwagon. What I like to do, and what seems to work best for me, is things are presented to me. The world presents itself to me. And I ask my divine guidance, my inner guidance, is this for me to say something, to do something, to take something on? And over the decades, yes, sometimes it has answered yes. You must do something. And most of the time, I think, I can't say all the time because self-forgiveness. Sometimes I say no, but most of the times I do. And then I ask, what is mine to do? What is mine? Every moment is important. Last night I was walking home after ushering in New Brunswick, and there are some people along the street that I walk who I guess are homeless, who seem to find a location where they set themselves up to camp out. And so as I was walking, I noticed someone had camped out on a bench. It was outside of the State Theater. And for some reason, I looked at her and I nodded and smiled at her and kept walking. And then something stopped me about her. And I turned And I said, "Do you need some money?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, okay, great." And I had a clear idea of what I wanted to give her, and I gave it to her, and she thanked me, and I went up back on my way, but she stayed with me in my heart. And so I was moved to do a spiritual mind treatment for her greater good because she stayed in my heart. There was something there that I was guided to respond to. Now, the gang that's usually across the street, they didn't call to me. I maybe they should have. Maybe I should have done a treatment for all of them. And that part of my self-judging, criticizing self started suggesting those thoughts to me. And all I know is what I am guided to do. And so I did what I am guided to do. And then all those other thoughts came with them guilt. And so I just knew for all of them, God was with them. Love is with them. Each one is absolutely divinely guided, and there is a way for each one of them. And that's all I can do. And maybe I'll be guided to do more. We'll see. But each one of us has to learn how to read our own inner guidance, moment to moment to moment. And sometimes we're clear about what we're guided to do, and sometimes we might be confused, in which case that's okay. There's something more for us to understand about ourselves. And then there's sometimes when it's just the external fear and worry about the world and the human race mind that is just pressing onto you, and it has nothing to do with what is yours to do as you were divinely created by God to represent God in a particular way here on this planet. Right? Every moment is important, and each one of us is important, and each one of us is sacred. And keeping true to who we are as a divine representation of the love, the glory, the goodness, the peace, the harmony, the right action of God. As we are guided, we express. And it is important that we express what is ours to express and to know, right? Spiritual discernment, to know what is ours and what is someone else's. So many times, right, as we live, we're offered great opportunities. And as we grow along our spiritual path, we can expect to have more opportunities than we can reasonably accept. And part of the reason why I am able sometimes to say no to an opportunity that is presented to me because it's a wonderful opportunity. In fact, I actually was offered something that looks like a really wonderful opportunity. And I thought, okay, now let me get clearer about this before I say yes. Okay. So, as you are presented with wonderful opportunities, those that are for you to express your uniqueness, you'll be clear about and you'll be able to say yes to. But an opportunity that's absolutely wonderful and you're not receiving that yes, what you want to realize is it's actually for someone else. And so when we say no, we're actually with love allowing that person who is to experience that opportunity to receive their good. So it's not about diminishing ourselves or saying no, false modesty. It's actually about being empowered and so trusting that inner guidance that you get clearer and clearer, right? What is mine and what is not? And that there are infinite opportunities, and you're better, more perfectly designed for you. Those opportunities are what are best for you. That's another talk. So I invite you now to take this moment and choose out of all that I've said, as well as all that you have heard in your own heart, what thoughts are best for you to carry forward in living your life. And so having said that, let me step aside. I'll do a treatment for us after our music and our offering, and I'm done. Thank you.
Abundance flows, a sacred stream from mind divine to life's grand dream. No lack, no loss, just endless grace, infinite wealth in time and space. I think I choose, and so it grows. The law of good forever flows. My thoughts are seeds, my faith is strong. Consciousness sings my will sweet song. I claim my good, I stand in light. Prosperity shines clear and bright. No fear, no doubt, just trust, just know. From source within all rich grow. From source within all riches grow.
Hello, and thank you, Reverend Rich. So, listening to Reverend Rich's musical gift to us to donate to the Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton, you can go to our website. I put the web address in the chat, and you can scroll down to the middle of the page and click the donate button. And you can also, at that time, once you finish donating, you can also make a prayer request. So, giving and receiving, the law of circulation, that cycle, participate in it. Be it fully. The good goes from me, good alone returns to me. So, thank you very much. And Reverend Karen, you can do your closing treatment.
Okay. So this word is being spoken for each one. One mind, the mind of God, all powerful, all knowing, continuously and always asserting its own I am that I am. This I am that I am is the I am that I am of each one. And each one is divinely created to assert that unique expression of that one I am that I am. And so each one is now better able to recognize that inner prompting of what to express and when and with whom and what to do and what to say and what to get oneself involved with. And so each one is crystal clear about what is theirs to do and what is theirs to allow someone else to do. And so each one does feel more confident, stronger, more certain about that inner guidance and experiencing this inner guidance when looking upon this world with spiritual discernment. And because of this, each one is more and more expressing that which is divinely his or hers to express, and becoming more and more empowered, rich, happier, more loving, more joyous, freer, clearer, more convinced of spiritual truth because of one's own personal experience of it. And each one is, therefore, better able to live it with peace of mind and harmony with all the activities of this human race right here, right now. In each and every moment, each one is convinced of its power, of its authority, and of its potential to express the all good. I am grateful that this is the truth. I release this word to that all-powerful law. Grateful it's so, and we all agree by saying together, and so
So
it
it is. Amen. 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 I said, Amen. 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 Amen.